Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here? Nani?
Let's talk about that. I watched Rise of the Ninja Turtles, and I got a super cool spoiler into this. It's the Rise of the Ninja Turtles. Everyone knows the story of the Ninja Turtles, I hope. But basically, I got this cool little gift from, not gift, but I like to call it notification. I love it when people, artists, communicate or talk back to their fans. So I'm trying to find it right now. I can't find it. Where is it? It should have been like tweet tab or something. It's above here. I know that. But basically, I hit up Kat Graham, who was the voice of April O'Neil, who was my favorite character in that show. And just to let her know, like, you did an awesome job with this. Like, I don't know if anybody's told you, but you're awesome. And, she responded to it. She gave me my 10 seconds of notoriety. And I just wanted to let her know I appreciate it. It's a little thing. Whoops, I lost it. And actually, I did it on my my other page. I really can't find it. Oh well. But basically, if you go to my my Twitter page, you'll see it. I can't find it. I can't believe I can't find it. But hey, music alert event, little frame, viewer count. Yeah, I really can't find it. Oh well, but it's on there. Just I guess I can make a new one. I mean, you guys are already here, right? Right. Notification. Yeah, Kat Graham. I posted this, so I'll make a new one for you guys. Window capture. Interesting, it is gone. Tweet. Twitter. Yeah, so I made this just to let her know, like, yo, much respect on what you did with the show. Made a fan out of me. And like I said, she was definitely my favorite character in the whole show, so it was super easy for me to, and you gotta love Twitter for this. This is when Twitter comes in handy. It gives you direct contact. Just Kat Graham. So I just watched Rise of the Ninja Turtles, and you as April O'Neil was everything I could have asked for. Great job. You clearly, if you watch the show, she's just so well animated. She was really designed for the voice, honestly, and I really just enjoyed hearing her interpretation of the character, because the only Ninja Turtles I've ever seen was from Michael Bay and the late 80s, and those are two drastic versions. I thought both of them were good interpretations on themselves. When the Michael Bay movies stopped taking themselves so seriously, I thought it really got interesting. The second one was better than the first one to me. And then the 80s were just the 80s. I mean, it was Uncle Phil as the Shredder. That was terrifying, because when he raised his voice in the Fresh Prince, I had nightmares. Shredder was coming for me. So those things are real. But this rendition or this interpretation of the Turtles is it's a breath of fresh air. And like I said, I haven't seen any of the other ones, so I don't know. I didn't know what the standard was or what was to be expected, but what I got, I wasn't disappointed with. And the whole entire cast is extreme, and they need. I was really disappointed to hear that their third season isn't happening due to COVID, but man, the cast could not have been any better. I think John Cena's in this. The voice of Raph, Mikey, Donnie, they're very talented. But like I said, my primary focus was on Kat, and I just knew that Baron Draxum sounded familiar, so I looked into his voice, and it was John Cena, which was so interesting. He's really getting involved. He needs to be in a superhero movie before it's too late. He wants to be The Rock so bad, and it's not a diss to him, but get this man into a movie, get this man into a superhero outfit. But let's real quick pay homage to the animators of this show. This show had no business really being this good, flat out. There's no reason why the animation needed to be this good for a children's show. It is sort of that children element that you get where it's like, oh, there's a family lesson and hugging could be the answer. And if you came here looking for a deep story plot line, there's literally 13 episodes you need to watch, and that's it. And it's pretty consecutive. But really, it's the animation and the art style that got me to stay and constantly stay up past 3 a.m. to watch this show. So good. And it's not they don't beat you over the head with it, and the characters are diverse enough that it makes sense why these lessons need to be taught. You believe that these are lessons they need to learn. You see it. But once again, it is edutainment in some parts, but they do some slick things that I really want to speak on, like the fact that and once again, spoilers for this. I think you should definitely watch it. But Baron Draxum and Splinter, by the end, if it has an undertone. In the beginning, Baron Draxum is actually a bad guy, and he claims to be the creator of the Turtles, which is the mother figure, but he's actually a man, but he's an alien, so I guess you can't really tell. But basically, it didn't hit me till Michelangelo took him in, even though he tried to kill him. And it dawned on me that, oh, Michelangelo, and that's when I really started to like Michelangelo. Mikey was like, well, this will make him, he says you're creator, but all I heard was, that's my mother. And it resonated with me. And what you're basically watching is the reverse divorce. They started off as this couple who gave birth to 4 kids that were turtles, and they're trying to make amends for the children's rough childhood by coming together to keep them safe and protecting them. And what you end up seeing is Baron Draxum and Splinter take a big bullet for the guys, the turtles. So I like that. It's very cheeky, but at one point he says it outright. Splinter and the Shredder, not Shredder, but Baron Draxum. We are their fathers. So it's a nod to the LGBTQ, the same-sex parenting homes. I'm okay with that. The fact that April was black, I didn't know that April was white. It left my memory. That was how uninspiring she was. I remember more about her yellow jumpsuit than I remember about her hair. Like I didn't know. I forgot her hair was she was red, a redhead. I forgot a bunch of stuff about her. So this reinvention of the characters, I don't think hurts the characters, but I could see how some people could be butthurt, because I'm a big component of, I'm drawing a comic book about a black girl. You feel me? Like, I'm drawing a comic book about a black girl. I'd be pissed if somebody came back in 30 years and tried to change my character into a white person. So I get that, but this is something that I feel is okay, because one, these are like mystical beasts. So the whole LGBTQ messaging could be ignored from a standpoint of these aren't human beings, so get off your high horse. But also, it gives the nod, a quiet but slight nod, like, we're on your team, don't worry. You got to make both sides happy sometimes, especially when money's involved. But the thing that really drove the story at this point And once again, it's this story. It's good versus evil, and it has the Scooby-Doo type setup. These are 30-minute episodes, 15-minute segments. So really, like, if there's 12 30-minute episodes, there's really 24 episodes, unless it's like a plot heavy story where they use the whole 30 minutes to kind of go over the show, and it flies by, man. The first season had 26 some odd episodes, but I mean, they flew. I remember just being up one day at like noon on my birthday, and I started it, and like, if I didn't take a break, I would probably have finished it by 4 days, like binging it straight through. It was so much fun. But really, what you're coming for at this point is the animation. So let's give a quick second to acknowledge these animators. Flying Bark Production, Australian group. They pay homage to the East, and still being on the East actually side. But I don't know who these animators are. I don't know what they look like. I don't know if they have proper formal training in this art style, but they did a hell of a good job. And the homages they sent out to Madara, to Attack on Titan, to Studio Ghibli, you can see it in the artwork. You can see that these technical shots of just a sit-in, one long single take of constant like movement at 60 frames per second, and it's just fluid, non-stop movement for 10 to 12 seconds. That is mind-boggling difficult animation. You're asking a lot of your animators to do that when they're doing stuff like that, and there's no hint of laziness or unsatisfactory animations or gap animations. And I think they definitely get to use the fact that the turtles are very animated and very goofy to kind of help their cause. But it doesn't. You would think like just remember, this is Nickelodeon also brought us Avatar, and Avatar is no joke in the animation department either. So you have to really tip your hat off to these people, because they don't hesitate. They didn't pull no punches with this, and I definitely, I'm happy I found this and was able to show my support with my paid subscription. With my paid subscription. Whoops, let's see. And let's turn down that music just a tad bit. They don't pull any punches, so I really like that. But let's get to the meat and bones of what you guys are really here listening to this for, right? Right? You guys want to know, in order, who my favorite turtles were. And I'll start from least favorite to favorite. And just for reference, the turtles are like all different species. They take a lot of favor from the Michael Bay movies in their size and stature. And I'm just happy to see the diversity that came with the turtles. It was aesthetically pleasing to see the diversity of the turtles. But for nothing, I must say that I was super thrilled with all of them. They all individually grew on me one by one. Some I took a liking to right away. Some took a long time for me to get to like. But I never once, and this is like just good writing, I never once caught myself feeling confused about how something came to be. Like, even the fact of how Shredder came to be in this universe made sense, even though I don't know the real origin story of Shredder. Even though I watched it as a kid, I didn't really watch it for the story. I watched it because it was colorful and moving fast on screen. That's the extent of a kid's attention span. So that's what my parents did for me. But what ended up happening was, in order, if I had to go anywhere with this, Leo, who is not the leader in this. I remember Leo being the leader in most of these movies and shows, but he's not the leader. It's actually based on size and age, I think, and because they're all different species and they're not twins in this one, the leader is Raph, who's the biggest one. But Leo was my least favorite, and it's not so much because I didn't like him. His voice actor was actually very charismatic, and whenever he came on screen, I was always attentive. But I think the thing was, I didn't really relate to his nature, his comical nature. I always found myself saying, because I have a bunch of brothers, so I always found myself saying, which one of these brothers would I actually get along with the most? And Leo, I feel like, would be the least, because he doesn't strike me as like he's very nonchalant and he will not follow through. Like, he will not follow through with the plan. He's supposed to be the most athletic and agile one, but it's almost like a running gag. The whole entire first season, he never once landed on his feet in any of the fights or any of the action poses. Like, they did a superhero landing once and he fell. He was the only one to fall, and he constantly trips other ones up, and he'll sell the other ones out. He's a troublemaker, and it just didn't ring true to me. Especially, it was kind of jarring because I remember him being the leader. So now to see him take on this sort of like this jokester type role was kind of off-putting. Even though Mikey is coming in third right now, I don't want that to be taken as a slight, like he was an uninteresting character. I feel like he's third because he didn't get enough camera time. For all the stories I remember, Mikey's stories are the ones I remember least. But as the stories got, and like in the second season, he got a lot more of attention, and his story was a lot more meaningful. Once again, like I told you with the Baron Jackson and the Splinter story, where he's basically the son with two dads who are fighting, and it was something magical about it. And he has these catchphrases like "oh my gosh" that you find yourself saying throughout the day subconsciously. So you subconsciously, his character kind of resonates with you. But he's the artistic one. He's the smallest of the turtles, and he's really like the flair. He's Mr. Delicate Touch. He's the one that says the catchphrases, the cowabunga, Lean Green Turtle Machine. Like, he does those things that you remember. So it sat well with me. But like, once again, like his mystic weapon was also kind of quirky to me, and this was the one thing I wish I got better understanding with it, because you never see them get better with their tools or train for that matter. But once again, if you're thinking like that, you're thinking too hard. It's a children's show. But I wish they would have kind of explained something about Mikey's weapon, which was this ball and chain type weapon. Did it have the ability to make things lighter? Because if that's how it works, then it makes sense. Because at one point in the show, Michelangelo picks up a whole entire, with the ball and chain wrapped around it, he flings a oil tanker with tankers on it effortlessly, to the point that it got the attention of another turtle. So I was like, oh, so this is something he didn't know he could do. He can lift heavier things with his turtle thing. But then I saw Shredder like break through the chains, and I was just like, okay, maybe he can't. But then also, like, I was like, is this his mystic power thing? Like, there's no explanation. I think that's the best way to leave it. So then the last two turtles, right? Who was my favorite? Raph and Donnie. And it really was really close for me, because I feel like definitely I related the most with Donnie, and just his need for perfection, and he was the funniest to me, and he outright says this, and he has the most like fourth wall breaks, and he has the most interaction with April. But he didn't resonate with me on an emotional level. which is what I got from Raph. So Donnie would be my second to favorite turtle. And once again, like for all the things I stated, he's comical, he's interesting, he had some of the more dynamic actions, and even though and the turtles play off of each other, even though I think he's the tallest, but he's sort of like the lanky one, but he's considered to be the bait because he goes out there for the distractions, even though it would be smarter for you to send out Raph, who is the bigger bruiser. But in this we'll talk about Raph is considered to be the plan maker, even though he has this dopish look about him, but he's considered to be the plan maker, and they're always waiting for Raph to come up with the plan. So, and it could be just a big brother thing, which I remember very often growing up, like having to come up with the game plan, or that was just what they decided to be up to. Either way, Donnie is my second, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. Another thing that I'll say about Donnie is he doesn't shy away from his flaws. He takes them one and all and in the same. So that was pretty cool. But getting to my favorite, which was Raph. The reason why Raph was my favorite in this show, and it comes straight down to a really emotional moment. Like I said in the beginning, Raph sort of had this facade for always being the person who had to come up with the plan. And this isn't a knock on him, but you can tell he wasn't always comfortable. So it really stressed him out. It was visible. And he had the most complete arc for me. He actually had a complete arc. Because in the beginning of the show, it shows him being the first one to activate his mystic powers. And then it also shows him towards the end, things really got really dire for him. You saw some things that made you say, wow, is this still a children's show? And I say that because he had to make some tough decisions, and every decision he was making, even though it was the right one, quickly it became very apparent that it was going to cost them. And once again, every decision he made was the right one, but he wasn't prepared to make them. And in his moments of doubt, it nearly cost his brother and his families their life. But even when he was making these right decisions, he was being questioned by his brothers, who had never questioned him before. And I thought that was going to be a perfect mode of conflict, but I also was innately aware that no, the show ends in one more season, in fact. So, I mean, this show ends in 3 more episodes, so this is wrapping up soon. So what happens? What is their suiting up scene gonna look like? And without missing a beat, they go into it, and it's really intense. And please, somebody, if you're watching this, put out the original soundtrack for this. The music is so good. The ambient music that plays in the background doesn't need to be this good. It's just bomb. I actually looked it up and I couldn't find it. But if it comes out on DVD, best believe I'll be getting it. It's probably out on DVD. I'll rip that music right out of that DVD. So good. It had no business being that good. Why? But pretty much, he does the leap of faith and trust his brothers to save him. And it was just, I mean, for me, that was it. He got emotional, and it brought a tear to my eye, because it was just to see this just stress in him, because you remember seeing him stress out about it, and sometimes it worked because the plan worked, but then other times it was just pure luck, and and he acknowledges that, this wouldn't have worked if you guys weren't here. He acknowledges that, so it makes him feel a lot more human, and for that. And just the fact that his skill set and his technique, and he was extremely enjoyable to watch. And I never felt I always found myself smiling whenever he was talking or whenever he was trying to explain something. So he resonated with me the most. But man, Donnie and Mike were neck and neck for a second. But who was my favorite overall character? It's easy. It was April. And it was April for 2 reasons. And one, her being a black girl was one thing, but she's definitely getting a cameo in the comic book. I loved her that much. Like, I want to put her in the comic book somewhere, in my comic book. She had this personality and flair about her, and you wanted to know more about it. You wanted to know more about how she met the turtles and how she became friends with the turtles, and like just her backstory, because you do see some backstories for her. You see her mom at one point, you see her house and her apartment at one point, and you're just saying to yourself, like, so she's just not in this world to be a plot device for the turtles. She doesn't need saving. She ain't your grandfather's April O'Neil. Okay, I'll say that. But she definitely has her own personality, her own swag about herself. She has her own friends and her own hobbies, and she doesn't live in the turtles' shadows. She takes down season 1's boss with an awesome scene, a well choreographed scene, and an homage to One Piece. So you really just learn to just really appreciate April and everything she does. But man, she was so much fun just to watch. And for what it's worth, you know, I hope personally they bring this back. It'd be a disservice if they couldn't get this back. Wow, like just a really great show, you know. But that was my review. But you're probably wondering, like, okay, what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, well, guys, let me be honest with you. I don't do rankings like that on a scale of 1 to 10. I give you a story, I give you the review, but I'm not going to leave you empty-handed if you need to know something. I borrowed this from the Weekly Planet. They're a pair of idiots out of Australia who review TV shows and movies, and they did this review model once and never went back to it. But I stole it and I'm going to keep it alive. And their review model goes like this. They basically say you have two choices. Either you get up and leave or you rewatch it. So this is the scenario. All right, guys, ready? Let's assume I watched this show in its entirety, this movie in its entirety. Then it was complete. I enjoyed it, whatever. Then all of a sudden I woke up in the theater and I looked down at my phone. I have nothing on the schedule. It's a free day for me. I have no work to do, nothing else better to do with my time or life. The question is simple. Would I stay in that movie theater to rewatch Rise of the Ninja Turtles? And the answer is yes. I would absolutely sit back down, stretch my legs out, and rewatch season 1 through 2 from the beginning to end. No questions asked. Easy. And the only other option is to get up and leave. Which doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you've seen it once. You won't die. Now, the worst review you can get from me is if I read someone's review that I trust and they told me it was bad, if I listened to my review of this without watching it, would I go back in the past? Would I go back and watch this even though the future me told me he told me? The answer is no. So then that's a bad review. Like, if I wouldn't even give it a chance, then yeah, that's not good. So yeah, Rise of Ninja Turtle was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm always game for interpretations of of what people think of the shows. I think you should, like I said, I watch it on YouTube TV. I got Rich People TV, so check it out. Eager to know what you guys think.